So hello, my name is Natalia.
Hi, Natalia.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Judy.
Hi Judy, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So just to let you know that we only have 20 minutes for this coaching session.
Okay.
And is it okay to record
Yes.
this session? Okay. Thank you very much. So
Sure.
we can start. So what do you want to focus on today?
So I've been having an issue with Antonia and her main stakeholders. I'm just going to use names if that,
Yeah.
so that's helpful for you. Antonia and her main stakeholders in London with her team. And so for some reason, Jake has been telling us that he's unhappy with some of the marketing campaigns that we've run, even though he was involved in all of them and approved them at the time. And so now we're sort of dealing with the backlash of him now saying that he's unhappy with campaigns that we've already run and money we've already spent.
Okay, so just to summarize, so Jake is unhappy with the marketing campaigns you've done so far, and you already spent a lot of money in those campaigns. So you don't know what to do with
how to help
him
Antonia.
being unhappy? Or?
How to help Antonia manage that relationship and the expectations moving forward.
What is the relationship between Antonia and Jake?
So Jake leads the business unit in London, and Antonia leads the marketing team in London. So they're peers, but Jake would be almost like a client to Antonia.
Okay. So Antonia is having a problem because Jake is not happy with the results of Antonia, right? Okay. And why is this important to you?
So it's important to me because Antonia reports to me, and it's important that all of the main stakeholders for all of our business units are happy with the work that we're doing, but also that the work that we're doing is effective and is helping us reach our goals for lead generation and demand generation.
Is there something specific that you want to accomplish this week within that problem?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we could do this week is have a real frank conversation with Jake about what it is that's making him unhappy, and what has been done previously that is making him unhappy.
Okay, and what would success would like at the end of this week to you?
I think success would be us walking away knowing that Jake understands what has been done and what is going to be done in the next quarter.
Okay. So if I understood correct, your goal for this week is to communicate effectively with Jake to understand what happened that is making him unhappy. That's your main goal for this week.
Yes.
Okay, and what would be easy about that conversation with Jake? Or what would be hard?
I think what would be hard is us understanding the same reality. I think we both have, or all three of us have different perspectives on what occurred, and how do we have that conversation without any blame being placed anywhere. I think that's what's going to be hard.
And what do you think would help with Jake?
I think if we have numbers to back up what happened and the results of the campaigns, and we should come in completely prepared with all of the campaigns that were run for his business unit, and where all of the money that we've spent has gone so far.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that if you have some data, resources that back up all the marketing campaigns you've done, that would be helpful for Jake to understand why you did that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and what resources can you count on?
So I think it'll be a little bit of a challenge to, in the UK team right now, our operations person is new, And so she will still be the one pulling the data. And so I think it'll be a little bit of a challenge. And so I may need to get involved in order to make sure that the data is pulled correctly.
Okay. And have you done anything yet? Like, have you gathered any data, or have you done anything?
Yeah, Antonia has gathered top level numbers for leads generated and form fills and engagement with the different campaigns. And so I think we'll just need to go a little bit deeper and do the correlations for sales as well.
And what are your assumptions of Jake? Why do you think he's not happy?
My assumptions are it's almost the end of the fiscal year and he's feeling the pressure. And that's why he's not happy. He's trying to shift blame.
Okay. And how real are your assumptions?
I don't know. I could be dramatic on it. Okay. It's possible.
And have you had any similar experience before?
Yes. Before Antonia started, we had another person in that role, and I had a similar experience with Ben, who leads one of the other business units in London. And with that, it was more of an issue of the campaigns,
okay.
and the impact that the campaigns were having,
okay.
or the lack of impact.
And what worked in that situation?
Well, in that situation, we looked at what campaigns were successful, and then which campaigns weren't as successful, and we discontinued using a couple of vendors, and shifted budget to the vendors that were more successful.
So in this moment, it's not about the campaigns?
Not from what I can tell. From what I can tell, the campaigns are doing what they were meant to do. I think that the understanding of what the campaigns were meant to do might be lacking on Jake's part.
And do you know anyone in the company who has had like a similar situation, and if they have done something to succeed?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. And who is good at influencing Jake? Do you know anyone who would be?
So there's one person that is new that seems to be influencing Jake quite a lot. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Anyways, he's a salesperson, and he seems to be influencing Jake quite a lot. And I think that he's part of why Jake might not be as happy with marketing as he was previously.
Okay. And do you have like a possibility to talk to this person?
I could, yeah. I know that Antonia has spoken with him, and maybe it's time that I step in too.
And do you think that would be helpful to the problem you're having with Jake?
Possibly. I don't know that he'll be as receptive as Jake will be.
Okay. And what would be the best scenario to happen?
I think the best scenario is we walk out of talking to him with a marketing plan for the last quarter of the year that we all agree on, and a course of action to implement that marketing plan.
And what steps would be helpful for that course of action that you're saying?
I think it would be helpful for us to map out what we did previously and map out our thoughts on the next 3 months and what we would like to do and why we would like to do those things, and get the input from Jake, and be able to push back a little bit if there are things that he wants us to do that we don't think will accomplish the goals that we have set.
Okay, so you think that it would be helpful, like, to communicate effectively with Jake, to go with him and like map out what have you done and like analyze those things to see how to react and why is he feeling like that? Mm-hmm. That would help.
Yeah, I think so. And map out the future.
Okay, and what could be your first step?
I think the first step is pulling all the data
Okay.
and mapping out as clearly as possible in a slide deck what has happened and what the results of those campaigns are. Yeah, that would be the first step.
Are there like more people that could help you gathering the data, not just the girl that you told me before?
We could use a U.S. resource who's been with us for 2 years and so has more experience pulling the data. Laura. She could help.
And like this week, how is your schedule? Like, are you planning to have a meeting with Jake this week?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you like start the conversation with Jake?
I think I'd start by explaining what we're doing, like why we're having this conversation and what we plan to do in this conversation. And that is show him what we've done so far and the impact of those campaigns, and then show him what we would like to do in the next quarter and get his input on that.
Okay. And how do you know Jake is not happy?
He said as much to Antonia.
Okay, so Antonia.
Yeah.
And how would Antonia, like, what's the role of Antonia in this whole problem?
So she tried to handle it on her own because he is her stakeholder, and it sort of spiraled, and there were multiple conversations where Jake and his new sales guy were explicitly said that they were unhappy and they didn't trust the marketing team to do what they needed.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that Antonia was not able to give a solution for this problem, so that's why she is reaching you at this moment.
Right.
And that's why you're gonna have a conversation with Jake this week.
Yes.
Okay, and what do you think it could go wrong in that conversation?
He could yes me and not actually agree with me. I've seen that happen in this organization before, where they just, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah, and then they walk away and are still just as unhappy as they were previously.
And what is the, like, what happens if he doesn't?
Then it's not good. What I've seen happen in the past is then he would go straight back to Antonia and be directive instead of a partner, and tell her exactly what he wants her to do rather than letting her lead the marketing team.
Okay. So you what I'm hearing is that you would have like a problem with the position of each people because they're not going to be able to lead their teams or do their jobs
Right.
as they were doing it till this moment.
Right.
Okay, and what do you think would be important to do right now, like before your meeting with Jake, apart of gathering the data?
I think just being as prepared as possible to combat any arguments he may have. And I could do that with pulling information from what we've done in the US as well. Because it's a good comparison for the UK market. Yeah, that would be a good preparation step.
So it would be helpful to have a comparison with the UK market and analyze like that data again to like come prepared with Jake and like come with data and not just like throw assumptions and everything, so that he knows that you like have all the information and all the background. And do you think this would help to make him understand what the real problem is and how?
I would hope so. I honestly, I don't think there is a problem. I think that he is making a problem that doesn't exist.
Okay.
By saying that because I think we have been successful in our campaigns, and I think our campaigns are the right ones. I think the one edit we could make is having some more focused insights on insights campaigns, and focus a little less on the marketing audience and a little more on the insights audience.
Okay. Sorry, so I was asking whose support do you have right now?
So I have my boss, Sunny's support. He's the COO. I have not yet spoken to Jake's boss, Stefan, because I don't want to escalate it if I don't have to. But that would be my next course of action, would be to talk to Stefan if things don't go well.
So do you think it would be a good option to speak with Jake's boss if it's necessary?
If it's necessary.
Okay, if not, you don't want to do it? You don't want to go that far?
I don't want to go nuclear if I don't have to.
Okay, and well, you already told me what's manageable to do this week. So it would be to gather the data and also like prepare for your meeting with Jake. And how you like will schedule your meeting with Jake? Like, are you gonna tell him something about this situation, or are you just?
I've already scheduled it, and what I did is I wrote in the meeting invite that I had some concerns. I heard that there was some unhappiness, and that someone referred to the marketing team as a black box, and that really concerned me. That's not something I want anybody to feel. I want to make sure that all of our stakeholders are understanding what's happening at all times, and feel like we're supporting them in the right way.
So that's the way you're gonna start the conversation?
Yeah, so that's in the meeting invite. And then we'll talk about what the concerns I heard were.
And what would be like the words to start the conversation?
Yeah, so I think I would just say that Antonia voiced the concerns that Jake had to me, and she wasn't quite sure how to take it from there, as she thought that she was carrying out the plan as it had been stated in Q1, and so I wanted to go over what the plan was and what we've done to date, and what we have planned for the next quarter, so that we can level set and be on the same page.
Okay. So what I've heard is that you were able to gather like a lot of data, and you also think about doing a comparison between the data in the UK and the data in the United States, and you also thought about a previous experience that happened in your job and how it went, and what was successful and what was not. So that's what you've done throughout this whole conversation. So do you think you would need anything else to go into the meeting?
I don't think so. I think I'm prepared for it.
Okay. So thank you very much. So I hope you thought about more options on how to start a conversation with Jake, what data to have, and like the different comparisons you were talking about. I hope that was helpful of the options that you think about, and I hope your meeting goes good. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.